BBC London 94.9, it's 4 minutes past 3.
Amy Lamé.
Hey, Dan.
Very good afternoon, everybody. As you may have heard, this show has been cancelled by the BBC. This may be the last one we ever do, but let's look past that. Maybe they'll... I found out nobody from the station rang me. I found out in a conversation.
I appreciate you phoning me to tell me.
Yeah,
Dan.
I told you. I rang you, Baylen. But no jokes. This show has been cancelled. Not joking. Yeah, and, there's don't worry, I've let them know. But anyway, so let us, while we can, just huddle together like cavemen outside, sheltering for warmth. But, the BBC have cancelled the show for financial reasons. And so,
is that the
but don't
reasoning
worry, we'll keep you right across any drain blockages over there. And see, here's the thing about this show. As much as, kind of the local reporting has its place and all of that, that's all a lot of people know. And they think that brings Londoners together. They have no idea what this show does for Londoners. And it's not about we'll keep you across the drains being blocked or this show, I think, and I rarely do I, pass me that trumpet so I can blow it, rarely do I think a show brings a community together. And it's not, and as a lot of people wouldn't have a clue how that could work other than make people feel frightened, or I've never known anyone say, whoa, BBC London really pulled us through there. I've heard people say it about this programme. It's been an honour, it's been a privilege. Thank you very much on behalf of Baylen and Amy and myself. And by the way, and I hope you'll forgive me, Baylen and Amy get £50 for doing this programme. £50. 50 quid. I think it's fair to say that Jimmy Savile was paid more by the BBC in 6 months than Baylen and Amy have earned in the 10 years we've been together. That's a fact. Oh, a bit too much financial information? Well, you know what? We're happy to stand aside for your abacuses, everybody, because that's what it's about. But shame on you for what you've done to my two co-hosts this last 10 years. Community, London, you weasels wouldn't know the meaning of the word. Right, that's that. Let's get on with it. Let's do the best damn show for the kids, as we always do. Same time, every day, but not for much longer. Very good afternoon to you, everybody. Probably for the last time, the show has been cancelled. Found out myself, been since 1988. Nobody actually rung us up. Apparently that's not the way you do it. Oh. Dear Lord. Dear Lord, that's not how you do it. No, that's the form. 1988. See that wall out there groaning with gold medals? I was happy to come along then.
Dan,
they got hold of me then, strangely.
Are you being inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame
Hall of Fame. Hey, by the way, anyone who's coming up to see me inducted in the Radio Hall of Fame next week, you may enjoy the speech. I would suggest certain levels of management here don't come. Yep, being inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. Another bauble. I actually only got 2 hours a week on the radio, but apparently I'm the best at it. Let's not overlook the real victims in all of this, of course. What's all those other shows going to do for material now? We're not here tearing it out of the ether 6 days a week. Anyway, it's going to be difficult to do any kind of phone-in show. I appreciate any messages you're already leaving on Facebook, but it's a done deal. And as they say,
there's so many people getting in touch.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. We are, we never openly acknowledge the chemistry between us every day, but it is absolutely magnificent. Let's talk about it in the past tense, it was the last blank sheet of paper in radio. But they weren't going to have that for long, were they? No, they weren't going to have that. I hope whoever was ultimately responsible has their abacus come undone and they choke on the very beads themselves. Hey, by the way, nice way to treat a fellow who had cancer. Thanks a lot. this one's a keeper. And so anything you want to remind us of that if you've ever been on the air and, we feigned that we enjoyed the story. The pith helmet full of Savaloyers. Right through to yesterday's, I passed myself in the car going the other way. You better to hear all these on LBC when they offer me a job. For the last time, everybody, 0207 224 2000. No tearful encomiums, if there are any. Let us just move on till 5 o'clock and get out of their way. Extraordinary things yesterday as well. The most atypical show.
I know.
Well,
yesterday was amazing, wasn't it?
Straight back, wasn't it? Yesterday.
What about that guy who he was trying to put down the coffin and it wouldn't go down?
I know a very off-colour joke about that, but I'm professional to the last. In fact, a lot of you would be very good at calling up, and it's not a joke, where the show has been cancelled amongst, to mix financial sense.
Yeah. I know you have been pixie-ish in the past, Dan,
no, but
about
it really
mixing
is.
up.
I found out by nobody from the station actually called me.
Yeah.
Nobody actually would. Why would they?
Yeah.
It's not professional to call someone who's carried the station on its back during time.
I appreciate you phoning me.
Yeah, I phoned you and I ran because nobody from the. Apparently, when I put it to them, that's not how it's done. The actual people who've passed me in the corridors the last few days. In fact, if you want to hear the phone call when I actually spoke to one of the people, I said, how comes this show, which is, popular, doing well, been around ages, I'm currently in twice ever that somebody's won Speech Personality of the Year.
Yeah.
This is no DLT rant. I just needed answers. So I said, and we're the one to go. It's nothing to do with control, so you can send us on buses out to Hackney, because that's what people really want. And
my point,
and why was it? And what about the audience? Don't you think they're...
It's the people will say to me...
Yeah, but it's, but don't you think it's a bit weaselish?
What I'm talking about isn't...
What is it?
That is very...
But why didn't you actually call me, though? Why wasn't I... Would have been... polite and, would have been... Wouldn't it have... you were frightened or something?
Maybe,
Yeah, okay, sure. Hey kids, hour and a half left. Appreciate all you're doing out there, and of course, through the IRA, we must entertain. Should have known when I wasn't included on that little roundup there. Good afternoon, everybody. On the very final show up here in the treehouse, they've cancelled us for financial reasons.
Dan, I was thinking about this. Aren't you also DJ of the Year in perpetuity?
It's going on. This is not about me. It is, indeed. And as I say, it'd be nice if they'd rung us up.
Can you remind me how many Sonys?
That's fine. It may not, were it not a perfect fit, but it's a perfect fit. But I'm afraid it's going to be more about, it's just about local news. There's a determination amongst even people who work in this office to drive one of the greatest capital cities on the entire planet and that the world has ever known down to the communication level of Radio Beckles. And they're convinced we're just a little radio station that meagre little ambitions. Why not? Have this playing in the background all the time, I think. So there it is, an unusual show. Of course, eclectic and a little fiery for the very last time, but there it is. I actually feel, on behalf of the audience, that it's actually a patronising thing to do. Oh, what you want is this. By the way, the exciting new lineup in January will be released soon.
Yeah.
They actually said to me, would rather, what I told me agent, because nobody rang me, as I said, would rather Danny didn't mention it just now. Oh, really? Oh, really? Just acquiesce on your way to the abattoir. Don't embarrass us. It looks bad.
I guess red rag too.
Well, just the idea. Well, don't say anything because we're not ready to announce it yet. Well, tough with that. Now, they did it once before. When I left once before, they asked me not to say anything.
Yeah,
and I
that's
didn't.
right.
I didn't for months. And then I won the Sonny. one of the ones I've won. I won the Sonny, and then the next out to say I'm leaving, everyone went, oh, just because he's won the Sonny. They asked me. The secrecy in BBC middle management, well, as we know, the secrecy in BBC middle management is bordering on the paranoid. And I just got to say that this is a terrific little show. It has been, it would have been, and the idea that, got to save a penny here and a penny there, I think it's about control, actually. I don't think they quite. I never thought we would.
So, is the reason they gave you down? Is it because of money saving?
Well, we all know the cuts the BBC have made to local radio, and they've looked around and they had to do them. But it's just this thing you hear again and again. The way I found out. Oh, it's like in a divorce. I wonder if just do it through the lawyers. I don't want to actually see you myself. It's nice to be able to do that, isn't it? But anyway, today, if you're Baylen's out on the phones there and sucks and everybody.
The phones are a meltdown.
Yeah, well, obviously, there's going to be, we don't put anything on the air because, they'll ask for it in other departments, but your actual anger towards here, they probably don't want to hear.
I do have the Facebook page open, by the way. It's facebook.com/InTheTreehouse, and thank you to everybody who's been getting in touch.
The motto being, this station's your voice for London, except on this one matter, so just leave it here. What you got over there, Amy?
I'll tell you, Dan, can we listen to Drew's Island song?
Well, yes, because wherever we go next, of course, we'll have to take the island with us. Because what's going to happen to all the children here, all the bits
What's
and
going to happen to the land of green nowhere?
I know, all of the stuff. All this stuff. Maybe we should do a giveaway of all the bits, like... And... all of these, you've got to find a home now because they've got nowhere to go.
Well, maybe that's what we should do, have an auction like they did with the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens when they dismantled
let's raise some money for the station.
Shall we?
Yeah, so they can get, more double-decker buses to sit outside Olympic Stadium. And that's got to go. And this. Once there was such an Eden. There it is. And when... we're sitting in the John Peel wing now.
Yeah.
They treated him pretty shabbily as well. Mm. And now, of course, John Peel was the BBC. Kenny Everett, they fired him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, happy to take... That's why I'm being inducted. Let us say embalmed, perhaps, in the Radio Academy next week. Should be some speech. Should be some speech, shouldn't it?
Can't wait.
It's a very British thing. Give honours, but not actually work.
Yeah.
That'll do it. So, is it just one subject? I guess it would be over there, because our usual thing of the heaviest handbag defacing album covers, prefects and monitors, great New Yorkers, and yesterday's Halloween special seem like 1,000 miles away now, don't they?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether there's any currency in doing that. Probably not. We'll just keep it. We'll play some of the greatest hits, and then we'll move on with things, because we'll pack up our tent and be gone by the end of the night.
The train slowly pulled out of the station. Bobby was left standing there, looking at the steam drifting away. And as it was clearing, she saw a tall figure standing alone on the platform.
Daddy, my daddy!
And so, milking the moment for all it's worth.
Bobby and her father made their way arm in arm up the street.
I'll play that in a minute. Play that in a second. I'll do this. You see, now, of course, having been hoisted the own petard, given that we can't put self-regarding or even true calls on the air, here we are, just me and you staring at each other, and there's no point doing fuss buzz one more time.
Really?
Well, have you got it?
I do.
Oh, you are mercenary. You are mercenary. All right,
I just
why
want to
not?
hear my theme tune for
Once
one
more,
last
ladies
time.
and gentlemen, for the last time, for the very long. By the way, if you just joined us, this show's been cancelled. I found out because I heard two people talking on the tube. Apparently, it's quite true. They were going to get round to calling us, but apparently it's not the way it's done, So. What's happening is you won't be hearing this no more. Amy Lamé, what you got over there?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to donate my my theme tune, to the auction so we can raise money for more designer chairs for the new broadcasting house.
Yeah, maybe what terrified kid they're going to browbeat and whip into here to do the show in the afternoons, keeping you right abreast. So I'm telling you what, if there's a milk bottle stolen in Walthamstow, well, this station's going to be there. That's our promise to you, because that's community radio. What do you got?
Anyway, 3 recommendations for going out and about in London town. And Dan, today is the 1st of November, which means, well, it's All Saints Day, but also it's the beginning of Movember. Now, you've heard of Movember, haven't you?
Forgive me if my usual pixie-like humour doesn't percolate through on this particular one.
I understand.
I know, yeah, it's all over.
We don't have to do this
I was with David Baddiel last night.
He's got a good mustache.
And he grew it for a specific purpose, because I was at a Halloween party last night.
Oh, yeah, how did it go?
It's rather like sort of shooting the breeze while on the gallows, but we might as well get on with it. And I was at the Halloween party, and he came as old Joe Stalin. Old Joe Stalin, and he had the long coat on, the big droop moustache, the pipe, the peak cap. He looked brilliant. I bet he could totally work that look. His kids' swimming medals were across here, but he was brilliant. He was old Joe Stalin.
So did he grow his own moustache for that?
Oh, yeah, he's like I am. Like Desperate Dan, you can fold your arms and squeeze, and one just pops out. Like that. Cancelling this show, by the way. Continue, without...
Yeah, so Movember is when they ask men for the whole month of November to start clean-shaven today and grow a mustache for the whole month.
Hey, it's got to be a moustache, because I was going to ask somebody to grow a pair, but it doesn't seem this is the... Go on, yeah.
Well, it is to raise money for testicular and prostate cancer, Dan, and the Institute of Cancer Research.
I had cancer, not there. I didn't even head and neck.
Yeah.
And then I didn't. If I'd have known, maybe they had their fingers crossed I wouldn't pull through. Then they wouldn't have to do the whole face-to-face sacking. Maybe, or if he goes, we're all off the hook. But I wouldn't let him have that satisfaction. Carry on, eh?
So you grow a mustache for the whole month. There are a few little rules, like you can't join your sideburns with your mustache. You have to kind of keep that.
It seems a bit arbitrary to suddenly start making rules if people are good enough to start a moustache.
But they do have particular styles of mustaches that they're, because if you've never grown a mustache, so I've heard,
I never have. Never would as well.
Really?
No, not even
Have you never had a mustache?
No, when have you ever known me?
Well, I don't know. Even my dad doesn't have one now, but he had one in the 70s.
Some days I'll come and I look a bit soapy, but I certainly ain't trying to grow a moustache. I wouldn't dream of
Well, you could grow a connoisseur. You could grow a trucker style, which is all the way down the sides of your, down to your chin.
There's only one really, truly great one that I might flirt with. The Zapper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's all.
Oh, yeah. He definitely had a mo going on.
But I'm with Disney on this.
They've got the Wisp, the Rock Star, all these different styles that you can perhaps take a little bit of inspiration from. And they also they don't want to exclude the gals. Some of us can grow our own moustaches.
Let us have fellas have one thing. Come on.
No, but they're saying for the Mo sisters, if you love a Mo bro, like if they're your friend or colleague or family member or whatever, just to kind of encourage them, maybe help them trim the whiskers that they can't see, just keep it nice and tidy kind of thing. Okay. They've got loads of Mo parties and special galas and also loads of special offers at various places if you're taking part in Movember, that you can just rock up, show them your moustache. And
I just remembered something.
What?
I ain't joking. Yesterday I ordered 200 blank CDs on a spindle. £36 that's cost. What am I going to do with them now? They got nowhere else to yesterday. See, that's why you should have rung me up. I could have saved £36 at Amazon. What am I going to do with all those blank CDs now? Sorry, my mind's not on it. You were saying, go on.
So anyway, if you are interested in growing a moustache for the month of November, today is the day you've got to start. Make sure you're clean-shaven. Go to uk.movember.com and you've got all your information there. Actually, they have 850,000 people took part last year all over the world. And they've raised something amazing, almost £80 million for charities and stuff. So, so that's Movember. Then moving on to this classic album Sundays, Dan. Right. Now, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before.
That's all I'm going to have from now on. I've got months of that coming up.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, Dan, what they're doing is kind of like being around your house anyway, okay?
Nice.
When, you're at home and crack open a beer, maybe have a bit of pizza,
Let me think
and you
about
put
that.
And you put an album on, an actual actual vinyl album on the record player. This is the magic they're trying to recreate, but with one album. It's called Classic Album Sundays. And it's been going on for a while, but every month they focus on a different album. So the idea is that you arrive at this place at 5 p.m. It's a pub, okay? Then you can order...
Women are fighting to get into this, aren't they?
Actually, it's run by a woman.
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
You can order some pizza from a local pizza joint, and they do like 2-for-1 pizzas and stuff. At 7 o'clock, the organizer, a woman, stands up. She tells the story of the album, gives a little bit of backstory info about it. Then they turn the lights down. They turn the volume up.
Okay, here we go.
Put the needle on the record.
And it goes. CBS Records present a 1969 album. Moondog. That's Moondog. There's an album I could discuss. If only we had a show to do it on. Oh, but they do. What do they? They give, and then they snatch it back away again. Carry on, Amy.
So the album that they're doing on Sunday is Dummy by Portishead. It came out in 1994.
I couldn't tell you a track on that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan. It's a really important kind of seminal album because it was the sort of Bristol sound, and for someone who
that was the Cool Teamers when I was a kid. The Bristol sound, the Cool Teamers. Yeah, they came right out of Bristol.
Well, when we started Ducky, I'd say Portishead was like that was that very moment in time in sort of Britpop. When Blur was out, Portishead was out. Oasis, and it was very much of its time. But you listen back now, and it's an absolutely beautiful album. So that's the album they're going to be looking at. But this whole idea of Classic Album Sundays has gone global.
I think it started with Word magazine. I think sure. Another thing that went out of business. Like us, by the way, if you just joined us, we're going out of business. We are no longer needed around the station. And because of the cuts, this is the last ever little treehouse.
Is that a violin playing?
This is what I'm laughing on the outside, but on the inside.
So while we're listening to Portishead's Dummy here in London, over in New York, they're going to be doing the same thing, but with Kate Bush's Hounds of Love, for example. Up in Glasgow, they'll be listening to the Blue Nile, A Walk Across the Rooftops. And somewhere else, I think it's in Tokyo, they're going to be listening to Captain Beefheart's Safe as Milk.
Safe as Milk.
Yeah, so go to
my choice there.
classicalbumsundays.com to book your tickets. It's taking place this Sunday, 5 o'clock at the Hanbury Arms in Islington. But go to their website to book your tickets and everything. Definitely book in advance because it does get very busy.
And don't forget,
those little golden birdies, look at them.
And just a final...
No, don't say the word final.
No.
We've got an hour left. What light it gives may benefit some.
I want to invoke the spirit of the firework farm, Dan. Do you remember the firework farm?
Imagine how lame the phone-ins are going to be now.
Yeah.
Lame-o supremo.
People are worried whether their portfolios will carry over.
Their portfolios will carry on because, well, I've got to be honest, nothing would be greater pleasure than to go somewhere else and drive this station into the ground after this. I've got to tell you, it's a perfectly natural... It's while I'm raw. Probably I don't mean that. But, your portfolios, and indeed all of you, I hope, will come with me. But continuing.
So the portfolios will definitely be coming along. So if you're a member of the firework farm... You're good. Yeah. You're good. You're totally good.
Absolutely.
It'll stay in your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Copper Committee, Platinum Club.
All of the usual things. The intellectual property is mine and mine alone.
Yes.
And as Tommy Steele said just the other day, I believe, he was on the air and he said...
Hey, this is Tommy Steele with a message for all Platinum Club members. Ready? There we go. F, G, 9, 4, 5, D. Nothing else.
Thank you, Tommy. Go on.
So, a recommendation for some fireworks that are happening in London this weekend.
Oh, there'll be fireworks happening in London this weekend.
Well, they were happening out in the office just about an hour ago. But anyway, over in Bexley, they've got a Danson Park fireworks happening on Saturday at 8 o'clock. In Brent, you want to go to the Roundwood Park area for a free firework display on Monday. They've got a fun fair there as well. Corms Fields, if you happen to live in Camden, that they're doing a special fireworks display for young children on Friday, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and it's absolutely free, especially for kids. So it's going to be nice and not too majorly loud or anything.
There you go.
Hammersmith and Fulham, they're having a Bond-themed bonfire night at Bishop's Park and Ravenscourt Park. That's Bishop's Park is on Friday, Ravenscourt Park is on Saturday. Rockwell Park and Stratton Park, Lambeth, all of their fireworks are absolutely free this weekend. So you want to make sure and get over there on Friday at 4 o'clock at both places. They've got fun fairs. Your favorite, Dan, Morris dancers, fire dancers, live music.
Mark O'Donnell now. He saw the writing on the wall 4 or 5 years ago and got out. Yeah. He did the right thing. Well done, Mark. Yeah.
And if there haven't been enough fireworks for you here today, Dan, I just wanted to let you know there is a firework display happening in Blackheath on Saturday.
I know.
At 4 o'clock.
No, the poor dogs. Oh, we have to get tranquilizers for the dogs. That's what I'll do. I'll take the dogs' tranquilizers. That'll see me through this. That'll be the one I need to do. Okay, the last time, Amy.
And that's your buzz.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. 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 What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Don't answer it.
Are you sure, Dan?
No. There's a horrible feeling, but don't answer it.
It might be LBC.
I know. It's probably this station ringing. They're probably ringing to tell me now. Hi, Danny. Love the show. By the way, we're cancelling it. It's only about money. It's not personal.
With the BBC London 94.9
well done,
travel, southeastern trains out of Cannon Street to Orpington, not calling it here the Green Station.
BBC London 94.9, it's 4 minutes past 4.
And so we enter the last hour, everybody. Come on, everybody. Up, not down. If you just joined us, the show has been cancelled by the BBC. They don't want this show anymore. I found out, like in the Railway Children, a bundle of magazines came from Perks down at the station, and it was wrapped in a newspaper that had the item in it. Apparently they were planning to getting round on telling me, they were going to send me a card saying, thanks our very best, whoever. You put a gun to my head, I simply couldn't name the actual people involved in this decision. Hello, how are you? But anyway, we're out of the way. They've made it, they decided that this is not what community radio is about, and,
we're huddled around the dying flames.
We're huddled around the dying flames. And you got to say, I don't know what they're going to replace us with. I would suggest it won't quite have the spirit of the old treehouse. You probably turn on your radio and hear this, and who wants this?
Todd Rundgren here, sitting in for Danny Baker. Want to play you this now? Such a great song.
Well, that's not a good example, but it'll be something like that. Hey, look who joins us for the last hour. Baylen, Leonard. Hey, Baylen.
All
right. It's a dirty, rotten shame is what it is. I don't want to go. I'll make no bones about that.
The thing is, Dan, is, maybe people should know that we actually really like each other.
Well, I think that was quite plain.
I think that comes across.
Possibly uniquely amongst media today, the three of us, and the audience as well. We're not one of those shows that turns the microphones off and then curses the audience. Face facts breakfast. Anyway, but it's a dirty, rotten shame, and it's a rotten way they did it. And anything you read in the next couple of days is probably being cobbled together now. Well, we're very sorry Danny feels like that, but we did get the blah, 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 blah. It'll just be blather. Nobody from this station called me personally at all. Not once. After all of that. And by the way, take down those Candyman's gold things out there, because you didn't mean it, you phonies. And so, and I've got to tell you, I do not. I genuinely have, as you know, plenty to do. But I always thought, can't wait to whip this through and get back on the radio in the afternoons, because this is the best show I'll ever do. I'll never work better than this again. But that apparently is not the point. It's about kowtowing to the reams and reams and reams of middle management. There are many, many, many more meetings rooms in this building than there are studios, and that should tell you all you need to know. And if they want to lose money, they should get rid of at least 2/3 of the middle management. They've talked themselves into jobs. They've talked themselves into being important. They've talked themselves into knowing what you want. But when it comes to it, it's not. It's about clinging, like limpets, to a very, very grey, uncreative life all over. And it hurts and it burns. And I'll tell you, it does burn. It really burns. Oh. Well, I suppose there's one good thing. You won't have to,
It's funny. Said hello to you.
and so on. Maybe I should have just played this for an hour.
You
still could.
That's the Viking funeral. What are you saying?
You're trending on Twitter, by the way.
There you go. I hope so.
But you're only at number 5 at the moment. That's not good enough.
That's about my level. That's plenty. That is absolutely plenty. So we're going to find you two kids a new home. That's the thing. Two of the absolute best broadcasters around, because the station's always treated you well as well.
Yeah,
it has. As we know, that we huddled together for warmth. And in one sense, the BBC is the only place that lets you come and do this. But that little candle is being snuffed out almost, year on year. Happy to take any of the plaudits, but it's if we get one call, we've had plenty, but we can't put you through because the regulations still stay in place.
And thanks to everybody who's left messages.
I'll tell you what. Well, let's get some of the. Maria in County Down want to hear from Keithy, baby, John in Deptford, and just do so we can just salute the cornerstone. Not that every single listener isn't important. It's just that every single listener isn't important. But if you want to either call up, hopefully we can remain temperate, because that's fine, because it's nothing to do with the actual spot and little house tree house here. Yeah, we used to turn up. I think that's the problem. We never ingratiated, because we used to turn up at 2 to 3 and go home again at 5 o'clock.
That might have something
it might have had something to do with it. We weren't a good team.
Selling our own
good team. But there's no point being a good team when everyone plainly hates each other. You know what the atmosphere out there is like. We actually liked each other, and it was hail fellow well met. And so the very last programme today, now what can we do that the kids will get a kick out of that we haven't played for ages? I can sing, I'll sing...
Have you got the Island song? Have you got Drew's song?
Let's do this. Got Drew's song. Maybe we'll speak to Drew. Ladies and gentlemen, we long ago saw this coming, so we built that little bolt hole for 50 people, 50 listeners on an island. And Drew was good enough to come up with our national anthem. I am one of 50 on our little island. Here we go.
I am one of 50 on our little island, and I pledge allegiance to Tobia's home. We don't need an army or navy or air force. Everyone else just leaves us all alone. Bakers and builders and lobbies on bicycles, people with talents to do everything. The one thing I love about our little island is no one is royal, but everyone's king.
But amid the ira, let us never lose sight.
Well, the secret of life is enjoying the passage of time.
And that's as good a life lesson as you'll ever get. You mean maybe they did it because they didn't want to finance the Cacophony 2. This time it's in tune.
Yeah, that was going to be a huge hit, though. I'm confident it was.
It was going to be. Well, you know what?
I've been working on choreography for months for that, Danny.
And we sold the last one out in 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Good luck with doing that with your, when they had these little get-togethers saying, "Oh, we're your station. Let's hear from you. We're your station." What about you do some heavy lifting out there? Try selling out the Hackney Empire in 8 minutes. That was a terrific night, and the video of it, of course, remains unseen. Apart from one thing, I believe, on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, there is one thing on YouTube.
I haven't got it with me. Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block. Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block. Yeah, well, and of course, it makes me think about we're not even going to get to do the Christmas shows now. No, that would been nice? Wouldn't that have been nice?
Imagine a time in the not-too-distant future, December 24th. But instead of festive lights and glowing Santas, the streets are illuminated by police helicopters. Meanwhile, in the streets, roving gangs of children terrorize the city. They have zero respect for authority because whether a child is naughty or nice, everyone gets the same thing for Christmas, jack squat. So they've gone wild. It's like Devil's Night in Detroit, only there's still stuff worth burning. As the fires rage, bands of depressed alcoholic derelicts, once jolly carolers, shuffle aimlessly, no longer sharing their cheerful seasonal hymns, but instead searching for a death that will never come. God rest ye, merry gentlemen. And of course, now that there's no Christmas, insects have grown to enormous size. So everyone has to dodge the ants and beetles that are crushing buses in their powerful mandibles. Does my vision of a world without Christmas sound far-fetched? This is exactly the future the seculazis want for your children and grandchildren. Big Secularism's plan is to keep eroding our holiday, little by little. They're taking away a manger here, a come all ye faithful there, until pretty soon there's nothing left. That's why we've got to dig in our heels and celebrate the holiday bigger than ever. If you usually get 1 tree, this year get 2. If you usually get 2, have 5. The BSs need to understand that there is no amount of trees we are unwilling to cut down to prove our point.
There you go, our correspondent Stephen Colbert there, laying it on the line. Once we're gone, insects will grow to enormous size. And that, but what did I tell them? I said, don't get rid of the treehouse like that, but by not ringing me and all of that, and then turn around and say, that's how it's done. Because insects will grow to enormous size, and they will grab passers-by, actual Londoners, in their giant mandibles.
You know, this does confirm our theory that we've had for a while now, that it's the end of
the
days.
place is no good. What?
End of days.
End of days.
It's the end of days.
It's the end of days. And don't worry,
End
BBC
of
London will
days.
bring you every bit of end of days, but if it's a local story, we will anyway, until they get print. You know what's going to happen? 5 Live's going to take over this whole network soon. And that's, well, you see, that there may be method in my madness. So I wasn't going to come out the bag and tell people this on the air. But, you know, my first loyalty always is to the network. And 5 Live, where as far as I know, I'm continuing on Saturday mornings with the sausage sandwich game and the crazy team over there. The first thing we needed to do was weaken this station. We needed to get in and snip away at its heels and cut the tissues and sinews so it was crippled. How can I do that? By getting them to let me go. Then the station implodes. Then there's this big stereo kind of a 94.9. You know, and how many times have we put our elbow in the bathwater of London and found it to be?
94.9.
Well, I said that little network, that little frequency, it's going nowhere. You know, let's face it, the war's over, LBC won. So the BBC are going to free that up. Who are they going to free it up to? Oh, one of their stations that's only on AM. 5 Live. Who's the star of 5 Live? Ladies and gentlemen, weep not, for tomorrow we return. Convince myself of that.
Yeah, I felt that.
I felt that. Do you know what? I should turn up at more meetings. I'm a good leader. Had a good meeting before the show, by the way. But continue, yeah?
Dan, I just wanted to let you know that you're trending on Twitter, but you're actually bigger than Christmas.
I wouldn't want that.
Well,
Don't applaud that. Don't applaud that, because I love... Really?
No, but
wow.
You're not quite as popular as Mike Redmond, but you are bigger than Christmas.
And what about this kid, this 12-year-old kid they got at Radio 1 now? What's he does at breakfast? What's his name? Saggy. Over there, Skip. What's his name?
Grimsby?
There you go, the fella Grimsby.
You literally made me forget his name.
Well, and that's not good. It should stick with listeners after... Well, I've got to say, and the absolute truth is, I bet... And it's nothing to do with that kid, Skippy. He's doing a great job over there, and everyone's like, this reborn. But seeing the TV ads for the show, one of those TV ads costs more than this entire show, much more than this entire show costs to put on for a year. And it's all about where the counters go, kids. But that's a fact. And not just that show. You ever look at your promos for other... How are you going to know the one show's on at 7 o'clock every night unless those £250,000 each ads turn? And £250,000, no change out of that then. By the way, in mood, I'm
sitting on top of the world, just rolling along.
Come on, kids, one last time. And it's such a pity the pubs in the city all close at 10:30. If I had the power and shop for an hour, then open up again. Oh, I can get tonic on vodka and tonic just any time I like. And while the coppers watch me car, I ride home on my bike. Yeah. In essence, that's probably not, as middle management see, a useful local radio station in terms of, telling you, there's a car been dumped over in Haringey. That's what the station needs and wants, and it thinks people needs and want. But believe me, what got us through the Blitz, what got us through, I'm now on flight, what got us through the Blitz, what got us through the dark days of the mumps, you remember the mumps, that was all over, is people's spirit being lifting. The indefatigable Londoner. The fact that most of our listeners tend to be in America shouldn't overshadow. No, it doesn't. It shouldn't overperch that. And just once more, I'm going to give you for old time's sake, 'cause it's such a pity the pubs in the city all close at 10:30. If I had the patch, I'm sick of it. Apparently on the BBC website now, because the BBC does like covering the BBC, if nothing else, it reveals that the way I found out that this show has been cancelled. Tell them, what does it say?
It says, yes, that the show has been... you heard that the show has been axed after hearing it discussed by fellow passengers on the London Underground.
I'd love to put a stop to that. That's not true. I don't know where they got that from. But in fact, what happened was I had a doctor's appointment this morning, because I had cancer recently. This is why the BBC are treating me. And I went there to have a checkup on this cancer I had recently in my head and neck. And one of the copies of Titbits in the waiting room was about a month old, but it was in that. And that's actually how I found out, everybody.
Gillen wasn't calling to ask me on a date. He was calling because this cologne company had contacted him to see if he would endorse a cologne called Just Like a Woman. Bob didn't like that name, but he liked the idea of endorsing a cologne. And he wanted to know if I had any good cologne idea names. Do I look like someone who would be wandering around with a bunch of cologne names rattling around in my head? Well, tragically I did. I did have quite a few ideas for cologne names, and so I told them to Bob. Well, Bob actually liked those, and then he said he thought he might like to open a beauty salon. And I said, what, like Tangled Up and Blown? Anyway, a couple of weeks later, I saw George Harrison at this dinner party, as one does. So I tell him about the Bob call, and he says, don't worry, because, whenever Bob is on the road for a long time, he starts thinking about finding a regular job. A job that will take him off the road. It turns out that Bob had phoned George the week before to see if he wanted to open the Traveling Wilbury Hotel.
London 94.9.
I say that again. This radio station is that. What's the matter with that? Is that one of Joe's dogs? Yeah. Hey. And Joe's not under any threat, right?
I don't think so.
No. Vanessa's carrying on, yeah?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eddie's in the dogbird seat, yeah? Eddie's on the dogbird seat, I suppose, yeah.
I think
What about Robert?
Robert, yeah, Robert's fine. That's all going to be... It's just us and Gabby then, is it? Well... They said, we'd rather you didn't mention it for a couple of weeks.
You've done pretty good at that.
Yeah. But because it'd be embarrassing for them, obviously, and the last thing anyone wants to do. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny LaRue. The unreal feeling as we glide, we sleepwalk into oblivion at this station. One show had to go, and that turned out to be us. It's just not generic enough, and whatever the reason is, they were good enough not to actually contact me about the information. And found out this morning by there's a newspaper blowing down the street, and it got stuck around my foot, and I looked, oh, okay, it's a photo of me. And so this will be the last time the treehouse gathers. And out on the phones, Dan's there and everybody else. And forgive us, we can't put you on the air, but that's not the way the station works, apparently. So.
I mean, if I'd known it was the last day, I would not have worn double denim. I'd just like to point that out. I would have put more thought into it.
When he was outside, what did we say? Well,
I know.
Look, I mean, you've got your whole Morrissey thing going on there, and
yeah, you've got a quiff.
But Baylen, you know, I think it's actually quite apropos that once again you seem to be out of step. You're off to Tennessee next week.
Oh, I know. What a time to be going to Tennessee. I'm going to Tennessee next week.
There's nothing else going on. You might as well.
Well,
it's just, I just feel sorry. All the kids out there are going to be denied all the stories when you come home. All the stories when you go.
Yeah.
How are we going to know now? Unless, I don't know, we set up some kind of internet rogue version of this show, and we've tried that, and that didn't work. Yeah,
the thing is, for me, Dan, is that, you know, I mean, Hurricane Sandy has just kind of like demolished my hometown.
That was devastation enough.
My dad has lost his entire business. I found out last night.
I know how he feels. Yeah.
And now, today.
But you're not wearing double denim, Amy.
Well,
so get perspective.
What about the kids, you know, like Erin Bodie? You know, hey, the Silver Seas made a record show. Made a record show. The Silver Seas.
We loved having them.
We broke more new music than Radio 4. I think I got the figures I saw somewhere, certainly. Certainly more than Capital Gold.
Who do you think has been your favourite person we've had in over all the years? Then?
I don't know. I like listening to myself probably more than... I'm struggling now to remember any of the guests.
I can't remember what the subjects were yesterday, let alone.
Exactly. Well, yesterday.
Yesterday
of course.
was good.
Wonderful.
Well, yeah, that was a Pippin and Dandy yesterday.
If you're only listening in now to hear any bombshells, I'm fresh out. But just listen to yesterday's show before we knew. There's your radio right there.
Yeah, that was when we were innocent, Dan.
All you're going to get from now on is what the BBC middle management wish. Someone saying, "Hi, how are you? What are you up to today? Thanks for your call." No offence, Eddie. That's it. But, it turns out that they don't want us getting too close to the audience because we might gang up on them. And let's face it, they've got their work cut out in a minute. They got their
Keithy Baby packs a punch.
Yeah, Keithy, but he's a big tall drink of water. Yeah.
Exactly.
He was at, Keithy Baby was at the thing I did the other week for the book. By the way, I might as well say I've got a book out now. It's called Going to Sea in a Sieve. Buy it from Amazon. He was at the thing the other night and I didn't recognise him. He's dropped 3.5 stone.
Has he?
He's dropped 3.5 stone. Yeah, he dropped more weight than this station's dropped this pro. I don't even know what that means. It doesn't work, but... Thank you very much. Socks dug this out, the very first interview we did on the show. Yeah, with General Moltke. A voice recorded in the 1790s. This here, he used to be an AM station. It's not clear, but that is our good friend General Moltke, our very first guest we had. You're not going to get this, Skippy in the afternoon, bringing you all what you should be nervous about if you live in East London. That's what you're going to get. You're going to be beaten over the head now in the afternoons by regional news. And is there a more terrifying prospect than...
Dan.
What?
News just in.
Keith is waiting. We'll be right with you, Keith. What?
You're number one trending on Twitter.
Thank you very much indeed, everybody.
Is that worldwide?
Yeah, it is worldwide.
Okay, good.
Don't look at it too closely. Keithy baby.
Baby Keithy.
Here I am.
There you go. Yeah, well, you're all... You know what? And I know you, Keith. Whoever takes over this spot and brings you the regional news as it's happening in your area, then you'll be the first call to get. I know you're not loyal, Keith. You just like to be on the radio yourself.
Hang on. What do you think? I'm just in my conservatory and... This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to bang my gong to the BBC.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I think.
Keith, I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to keep a mood of insurrection going, and now I've got to ask you, Keith, what kind of gong is that?
Well, I've got this strange Oriental gong, this wooden Japanese gong, hanging up in my conservatory, and I thought, well.
Describe it for us.
How in a nice, positive way.
You can't always get them. I mean, since Carl Palmer, I can't think of one that really has taken my eye. And how big a gong is this?
It's only a smallish gong. It's a cross between a gong and a wind chime. So it's actually like a wind gong, really. So it's
well, you know, Keith, you and I will, and it's good to know that the last call we take is as clear as the first call we ever took. It's General Moltke all over again, huh?
You know, I mean, it's been 23 years.
Yes, it has.
Finish at 23 years. I will still, we'll still be there.
Well,
the hat's on the side of my head. We're rocking and rolling.
Bless you. Listen to this. This is the spirit, everybody. This is exactly the spirit. I didn't want it to get out. It slipped out earlier on in the show, and I've tried to move past it, Keith. But, Keith, the great thing is, yes, they can take away the aerial on the roof. But, well, actually, we can't talk to each other after that, no, JP put up the speech Pluto gives in Animal House, you know, when he does that speech. You know, we're going to take it lying down. Did we take it lying down when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Leave him his on a roll, and then runs out the room going, yay! That's exactly how we're going to end, with a vainglorious exit that nobody will probably notice. But as ever, are we looking down? No, we're not. What are we looking? We're looking up, everybody. Up, of course we're looking up.
Afternoon, it's Peter Kay here sitting in for Danny Baker until 5 o'clock playing some great music like this.
Whoever takes over can get Peter Kay to sit in for him.
I mean, remember when Peter Kay just used to come and just hang out?
He was due here, well, hell, no, Jerry Slaff's coming tomorrow, dear Jerry. No, he's coming all the way over.
He's coming all the way from America.
He's coming from America, and we're not going to be here. Oh, sorry, bud.
No, I'm used to that.
No, it's not, Berlin.
Oh, my God, no. Oh, that's terrible. Jerry's
it's quite funny, actually, isn't it?
It's very nice.
He's going to get here and
That's very nice.
He's just going to find it balls across the studio like an abandoned mine in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. Poor Jerry, he's the real victim in all of this. Have you just joined us? We're laughing on the outside, crying on the inside. The station has cancelled the show. It's got rid of us. And I know that's gallows humour, I know, but we're done.
Well, what else are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Exactly. What are you going to do?
What have we done here every afternoon? We've come together, us happy band, and what's been going on out there in the great metropolis. We've tried to say to anyone, well, you know what, there's a tent you can huddle in here and not worry about the wicked world one bit. And so we're virtually done.
Oh,
we're
Dan.
virtually, I know, that's it.
Dan.
And it's not like, and chiefly yourselves and all of that, and we're going to have to deal with that, and we're done, and we're out of here forever. That's it. We do not want to go. But apparently it makes financial sense. It certainly don't for you two. The money you've been paid over the years, Tumpton saved me. People don't believe it when I say, 50 quid. And I'll be honest with you, after deductions, I get 300. And I am apparently the best radio presenter in Britain. So we never did this because there were bigger fish to fry elsewhere. It was because for the treehouse, and because everybody we thought, well, this is the greatest job in the world. And plainly it was, and plainly it is. And it may be the last non-generic radio left, but unfortunately we deal with people who should, as I say, choke to death on their abacuses. And if ever they turn around and ever want to name part of this building, I remember what they did to John Peel too. I'm not putting myself up there with Peel and Kenny Everett. They want all of the credit for it, but they simply don't have the gumption, the wit, the art, or indeed the joie de vivre to come anywhere close to what we do and we did here in the afternoons.
Sacked. Who could take a sunrise? Sprinkle it with dew.
There's a deputation outside. I'm being applauded, like at the end of what's that one where they all stand on their chairs? The Empire Strikes. No, it's
Teacher, My Teacher.
Teacher, My Teacher. Well, thank you, everybody. It's very nice here. Thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege. You say your name. I've been
Baylen Leonard.
You've been
Amy Lamé.
And from Mountain Goat and Corky and Socks and the fella who didn't work out, Jim Lahat, all of those. But as always, chiefly yourselves. Aye, that's your lot. English as tuppence, changing yet changeless as canal water. Armoured and defeat, nestling in green nowhere. Miss Havishambling, feudal still. Opsimath and Eremite, the BBC London 94.9 afternoon retreat, and Star and Garter, the least successful branding in radio history. We don't want to leave, but we're being told to leave by people we've never met who don't listen to the show and certainly don't listen to you. So thank you very much, and I'd ask, wherever you are now, even if you're driving a car, that'll be fun. Not for us, of course, but just to show the community. Everybody should applaud right now. Aye. That's your lot.
M25 looking really full along the Surrey stretch. I'm sure they're all applauding there in the queues there. 10 to 11 is very, very heavy indeed.